Hello, fellow word lovers. Welcome to Words I Love, where I talk about words I love. I'm Professor Snoozy. I'm so happy you could join me. Today I will be breaking down every one of the words of the week. For those of you just joining us, I make one short video flashcard every day with a word I personally love. Every week I make this video where I break down each one of the words of the week. Today I will talk about the word roots, I will talk about different part of speech forms, and then I will talk about the frequency of different uses of every one of this week's words. So get ready, we're going to start right up and talk about all the words of the week. Augment, divert, generate, imply, manipulate, permeate, and sparse. But first, make sure you pay attention to the other guy. Subscribe and learn a new word every day. Let's talk about the word augment. Augment comes from an old Latin root that means to enlarge or to make bigger, to grow. That's how augment comes to mean what it means in English, which is to upgrade a part of or the whole of something. So if I get a car and I put new tires on it, that's an upgrade. That is an augment. That's a noun. That is an augment. To augment the car is a verb. I augment the car by buying new tires for it. In this way, augment is both a noun and a verb. Augmentative can be an adjective. The new tires are an augmentative change. Sometimes you might hear an English speaker use a different stress on the noun form and on the verb form. Augment and augment. Augment, the second syllable being stressed, is a verb, and augment is a noun. Sometimes, and that's not for everyone, some English speakers will stress the first syllable on the noun form and the second syllable on the verb form. Sometimes people use the word augmentation as the noun form. The new tires, in this case, are an augmentation on the car. You will hear the word augment very often. Let's break down the word divert. Divert comes from a bit of a confusing of two Latin words. They are similar and they start to mean some of the same stuff in English. Divert, of course, means to turn the direction of something. That is a verb. A noun of divert could be diversion. So the diversion of the river went in another direction. But now we have another meaning of the word divert. We can divert something physical, or we can divert someone's attention. So you will hear very often in movies when someone wants to do some sort of crime, pull off some sort of heist, they will create a diversion. And that means everyone's attention is now focused elsewhere. We've pulled their attention off of the valuable thing that we want to take, and we are now able to take that thing without people thinking about it. Divert is a verb, diversion is a noun. Then we get into the adjective diverse, and that means different. It has been changed away from the normal. So diverse is an adjective. Diversity would be the noun. We want to see more differences out there. We want to see more diversity. You will hear the word divert, diversion, and diverse very often. Let's break down the word generate. Generate comes directly from Latin, where the same root can be found in the word genus. To generate means to beget or to give birth to create. Generate means very much the same thing in English that it did in Latin. Generate is a verb. The noun form is generation. Generation can mean all of a certain group of people who were born in the same time is a generation. The one family goes through one generation. That's all the siblings of one father and mother. That is one generation of a family. You could also say there is a generation of, hamburgers out of McDonald's. They generate hamburgers. So it doesn't have to be give birth to. It can also be create or produce. Generate is a verb. Generation is a noun. Generative is an adjective. McDonald's is generative of hamburgers, though no one would say that. It's not a great sentence. We will use the word generate quite often. Let's break down the word imply. Im is a Latin prefix that we see all the time, and it means into. Plecere here means fold, or plec means braid, but implicare means to fold meaning into the words that you say. Sometimes we might not want to say words directly, so we might imply something. Boy, your shirt sure is tight around the middle is a way to imply someone is getting fatter. So if you don't want to say the words, you will imply the thing that you want to say. That has a negative thought, imply. Imply can also mean very good, you know. Well, your shirt seems to be fitting you very well these days. If you don't want to say that the person looks better or is more strong or more fit, that can be too forward sometimes. We might say their clothes fit them better. Or, oh, you have a nice smile is nicer than, oh boy, you're pretty, aren't you? So we can imply things without saying them, and it's a positive. There are many forms of the word imply. Imply itself is a verb. We can use the word, the past tense also becomes the adjective. Implied. There is an implied compliment if I say, your clothes fit you very nicely, don't they? Implicate and implication are two words that we get from the word imply. To implicate is to say that someone did something wrong or to hint that someone did something wrong. To implicate someone means that I say something that might make someone else look bad, to implicate them in a crime. For instance, that's the implication. So the implication is when I say something that might make something else look bad. Implicit is an adjective. Implicit means the thing that we know to be true. If this shirt is made of silk, it is implicit that it is soft and feels good. Implicit means we know it without it being told to us. The opposite of implicit is explicit. You will hear imply, implication, implicit, all of these words very often. Let's break down the word manipulate. Manipulate comes from two Latin roots, manus for hand, plere for fill. We fill the hand with a tool or with a device that we know how to use skillfully with our hands. If you think about a magician who used playing cards to do magic, maybe they can make a fan or maybe they can shuffle the cards beautifully. That is to manipulate cards. That magician manipulates cards. Manipulate is a verb. You can also use the word manipulation as a noun. That magician is good at card manipulation. He is a good manipulator. Is a noun, means a person who manipulates. Manipulate has a darker meaning. If someone is good at influencing events and influencing people, we might say that they manipulate other people. In this case, we're not using our hands to make people do things. We are using our words. We are speaking manipulatively, that is an adverb, to these people to get them to do what we want them to do. We use that form of the word manipulate as much or more than the physical form of manipulate. He is good at manipulating the hammer. We're not going to say that. We're going to say, I feel I was manipulated by that person, or that person is a good manipulator. You will hear this word, especially in the darker context, very often. Let's break down the word permeate. Per is a Latin prefix which means through. Miere is a Latin root that means to pass. So literally, permeate means pass through. And indeed, that's what permeate means. If the rain falls onto this shirt, the water will permeate the shirt. The water will go into the fibers of the cloth and it will spread out, spread throughout. So that's what permeate means. It's a verb, and permeation is a noun. You will hear the word permeate fairly often. Let's break down the word sparse. Sparse comes from the Latin root sparsus, and it means scattered. So scattered around, and now it's very thinly coated on the ground. Sparse comes to mean later on not so much of it there. It's very thinly scattered. We're not going to see very much of it. Rainfall was very sparse in this time of year. In the summer, it is very hot and dry. Rainfall is very sparse. There is a sparsity of rainfall. That is the noun form. There is a sparseness, which is a noun. Sparse is an adjective. And then sparsely, rain falls sparsely at this time of year. You will hear the word sparse pretty often. Sparse is also related to other words like disperse. Sparse and sparse here are very similar. Disperse means to scatter or to make people or things go in different directions. You will hear the word sparse often. Well, that about wraps it up for this week's words. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It really means a lot to me. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content. A great vocabulary is a road, not a destination. We walk it step by step. We add to it word by word. We build it brick by brick. I'm Professor Snoozy. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.